Hey folks, it's Steve Wilmes and Matt Kita, and we're here with another great episode of the Risk Control Show. Today we're looking at the shocking, amazing video footage of a Connecticut woman. We're assuming that they identify as a woman here, and walks into a police station and then fires a handgun into what thankfully was bulletproof glass and
Yes.
side door or the front counter and all this kind of stuff. And it takes some time before the police respond. So let's just take a quick look at this video here. I think this one will play. Yeah, so here she is. She's banging on the glass with the gun, which is like,
Right.
for any of you gun fanatics that say, hey, guns just go off. There's a woman with a gun in her hand banging it, and it doesn't go off. And she's allegedly drunk. There she is. She bangs on the glass. I mean, she's hitting it all over, and it's not firing anything. I mean, she's really striking the muzzle on this glass mat. That's great. Now she shoots one into the door, and the bullet ricochets. She's lucky it didn't.
It didn't hit her. Yeah, she fired it a couple times, a few times. Yeah,
it seems to ricochet all in the same spot. It's interesting. But what's good is that it didn't hit her. Then she takes off her jacket. She comes back. Now she doesn't have the gun. Now the officers are gonna grab her.
Yeah.
They do some things here to take her down, which is good. So that being said, you can watch that on New York Post, of course. We appreciate them posting that. But here, Matt, emergency response at its finest. I mean, this is amazing. It's amazing footage. It's amazing. All kinds of stuff. And you know what? It just plays right into what we're talking about, which is our workplace violence, SB 553. Came into existence. We actually have some videos and plans that are going out there. You can get the whole combo for $500. I'm not trying to do a sales pitch here, but why not?
Right.
But emergency prep. I mean, we had a client, similar situation. It was irritated that the person came in. They were irritated that they got a parking ticket. They went to pay the parking ticket. They needed writing utensil. They asked the front desk person and then tried to stab the front desk person with the pencil. No protection, no barrier. The person was able to jump over their own desk and get away. Kind of caught them in the back. They were out for months because of the trauma there.
Right.
And, we did a whole lobby redesign and this kind of stuff. But here, we say, I just think it's always fascinating to me because we go into organizations and we say, have you prepared for this event? That'll never happen. That'll never happen. Why?
Yeah.
Are you being silly? I mean, I think we've talked about this. If you've been following the show, we've talked about this so many times. Aliens going to come down. No, I'm not saying aliens are going to come down, but I am saying that you have an open road running through your campus that you allow all kinds of vehicles to go through. You have no idea what's coming through there. And if a hazardous waste spill occurs, how are you going to deal with it? That's what I'm saying. It's not that far-fetched. And a lot of this stuff, we're doing some plans for some jails and we ask them different things. When we do the evaluation, we're like, wow, golly, I'd escape right out of here in 30 seconds. And nothing's ever happened. Well, here's a prime example of something that should have some foresight on happening, and they do. They have the bullet resistant glass, which is good. But
cameras in the lobby as well, so they had that they could operate with.
Right. So emergency plans, Matt. Talk to us about emergency plans.
Look, the first thing that you need to know about emergency plans is it doesn't do any good to have one if your people don't read it and don't follow it and don't understand what their role is. So yes, have your emergency plans prepared. make sure, have them prepared by a professional, have them look over, such as us. We do emergency plans. We will write your emergency plans for you. But the point is that you need to have them in place, and ensure that you do the training and that your people are actually not only involved and present for the training, but they are present and taking it in, and do that training consistently enough so that it sinks in. Because here's the thing, a lot of times what you'll find with training on emergencies is they'll show up on the day for the training, they'll do that thing, and then they'll forget about it. They won't think about it for months or years, depending on how long it takes you to do that training again. And then what happens when an actual event occurs, all of a sudden they only maybe they remember a little bit, maybe they remember nothing at all, but they have no understanding of what their role is, or no preparation. And then they're scrambling around, maybe trying to find an emergency plan on their phone, or a paper copy in a drawer. It just, and look,
Forget it.
you need to be able to react in an emergency. You can't be sitting there wondering what to do.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at this video footage and I'm really quite shocked. I mean, we go back to customer service. I'll go back to Japan versus the United States. I'll talk about low staffing. Why is
Right.
that front desk not staffed?
Do we know what time she came in? Was it in an off-hour time? I'm not sure if that was stated in the
Does it
article.
matter? The door was open. Came
True.
in.
The door is open. Someone should be there.
When you go to a police station, does a police station ever close?
Yeah, I've seen it where you have to call the dispatch to actually have them open the door, but technically they don't
why
close.
Is the front desk? Why is the front desk not staffed? What if this woman? There's several things on this plan, or on this event that just go haywire, and I haven't even got to the good stuff yet. You guys are going to be shocked if you haven't been following this. But first and foremost, why is the front desk not staffed?
Yes.
We continuously want to do more with less. And in Japan, they staff things. Give people jobs, staff things. This is outrageous. So, what happens? How many times have we been to a facility like this to review, do emergency preparedness, all these types of things? Let's just say I was there for the night shift doing training with the officers. Like we've done. We get all hours of the day, we're out doing training. And let's just say, how do we normally leave the police station? Through the front doors of the lobby. That's where we come in, and that's where we go out. We're not prisoners. We don't have access, so that's where we go out. Now, if this woman, I got to be very careful here, Matt, because sometimes when you say people are smart or are not smart, then they say that you're siding with them. I'm not siding with this woman at all, but I'm saying if this person wanted to really be nefarious, they would have walked in and waited. And when someone came out the door, they would have pulled out their gun, shot the person that came out of the door, or slipped in behind them, with the gun. Just turn, like Matt, you don't carry a firearm with you, even when we go do police department training. So if you would have been coming out, he would have pulled a gun on you and turned you around and walked right into the police station and started firing inside the police station. So the point is, should that be staffed? Where's the alarm that someone even came in your lobby?
Yeah. And when you get to the end of that video, Steve, how many officers come pouring out of the doors to bring her down? I'd say I saw at least 9 or 10, right? You're telling me not one of those officers or some kind of staff, because oftentimes those front desks, they're not handled by officers, but handled by staffing for the department. You're telling me not one person could have been there. Right. What, did they walk away for a sec? I mean, if you're that position should always be, if that position should always be staffed. So if someone has to walk away to go to the restroom, you pick up your phone and you say, hey,
lock the front door at least.
Yeah, Officer Gomez, Officer Anderson, please come up and watch watch over the entrance while I go to the restroom.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Yeah,
but clearly that didn't happen.
it didn't happen, Matt. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, so that's part one. Part two, yes, this is 11:30 p.m. allegedly when this occurred, and the idea here is you have all kinds of crazy things that are going to happen in real life. You can't make it up. Reality is crazier than fiction. What's that
Right.
phrase that they say?
Yeah, it's all what like art
Oh,
imitates life or
reality is
whatever.
stranger
Yeah.
than fiction.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
true.
Yeah. There you go.
And the idea here is this could have been a lot worse. And
Yes.
this department seemed to be fairly well prepared. We have a lot of
Yeah.
departments that, they're running crews of 2 or 3 officers on the shift all together at night. So,
Right.
this could have been much different. The second thing there is, yes, you have bulletproof glass. You have um, bullets ricocheting. What would have happened if that bullet would have caught her in the neck? I actually was at a firing range once and fired a weapon, and it hit the top of the target or hit something metal.
Right.
I don't,
Maybe the base it was attached to or something like that.
something, and the projectile ricocheted in an odd direction, came back and caught me on the chin. And
I'm kidding.
it lodged it. I just felt like, oh, wow, boop. And then burning sensation because the lead's hot. And, and I feel all this blood coming down. If that would have went down a little bit lower, I would have been in real trouble. And here's a case where what if that bullet would have ricocheted and smacked her in the throat and the chest, um, in the eye,
Yes.
somewhere, and she went down. Are you going to be able to respond? Because now you're looking at some liability for not responding, right? So the idea there is there's a lot that could have went wrong in this. It turned out fairly well, but at the same time, when you start looking at your scenarios, don't think that you don't have strange things that occur. And this gets even a little better. This person is alleged to have been at a bar down the street, dispelling her plan to anyone that will listen.
Wow.
And nobody calls the police department.
They didn't believe her. They had that same mentality we've seen so often with sometimes our clients, sometimes other people we've met. Oh no, that she doesn't mean it. That can't happen. Or it's like, oh, people talk. They're not going to do it. That's the thing is that we take that attitude that strange isn't going to happen. But like you said, Steve, strange happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. See something, say something, and that's why I don't like the phrase, because what are you supposed to see? What are you supposed to say, and to who? Let's change the phrase. I don't like it. The point there is, okay. She allegedly, and I'm using alleged. This is all alleged. I'm not.
Yes.
I don't know what
agreed
transpired, but allegedly she has 2 children who are going through some really trying times in their life. It's reported here as one was in some legal trouble, and what was the other one? I forget. But this person is a state worker, supposedly, allegedly, and just kind of cracked under the pressure of trying to help her children, and goes in the police station. And the best part about this is that she uses a handgun, allegedly, from alleged ex-boyfriend who allegedly worked for the New York Police Department. So you would
Right.
think that gun safety would be a little more appropriate. So again, when you talk about gun safety, you got to talk about, you know, lawful gun safety or unlawful. Who stole the
Yeah.
gun? Was the gun stolen? Was it given to her? Was the transaction recorded? Like, there's laws for
Yeah.
all of that, and it doesn't
Yeah.
appear.
And this is Connecticut. I mean, I don't know. I am not familiar with the gun laws in Connecticut, but if it's like a many states that lean blue, those, the laws for passing guns, are very strict. Good passing, purchasing, whatever you're
Oh,
doing
you're not
are
married. Yeah,
usually very
you have to
strict.
register that. Period.
Yeah.
Um, but here again, these things happen very easily.
Mm.
People are we're post COVID. There's a lot of trauma still going on. You can read article after article on why it happens, but we went through a lot, and people are at their breaking points, and we've seen this violence increasing. We see it now with all the
Yeah.
hate for Jewish folks in the United States. It's unreal what's coming out, and
Yeah.
and you're just going, did you ever think that you would see protests with Nazi flags on U.S. soil? Um,
Yeah.
and the statements that are being made, no, I never anticipated that as being an issue here. Sure, the white supremacist out there, we know that, but that college campuses all over the United States and people would be jumping in on these protests, and just unreal the things that are going on. So you have to prepare for these events, and you can't think that, oh my goodness, that'll never happen here, or that's just too strange or too crazy. You have many things that went in here from a liability standpoint. Like I said, how do you handle the locking of the doors? Why are they
Mhm.
open? Why is it not staffed? Why did no one respond immediately with the banging?
Right.
No one can hear. There's no bell. There's no buzzer. What happens if that person, if there's some type of emergency in that lobby?
Mhm.
What happens if they would have got inside? So these are all things that need to be planned for. But I think it's just the perfect timing for the workplace violence prevention plan, because
Yeah.
we're already getting a lot of flack. Like, what do we got to do? Oh, we got to do training. Well, the reality is we're sick and tired of active shooters. We're sick
Yep.
and tired of workplace violence. It's like the sexual harassment with Schwarzenegger. He came in and they said, you know what? Everyone should know better, but something's not working, so we're going to do training. And you got to train on these things, right? You
Yes.
have to have a plan. You have to have a plan to communicate. You have to protect your employees from workplace violence, even if they're law enforcement, right? There
Yes.
has to be a plan for this stuff.
Yeah. They
And
have the same rights.
yeah, I'm sure there is a plan here, but
Mm.
it doesn't seem like much of it has been followed, or that
Yeah.
it was an appropriate plan to catch this out of the gate. I mean,
Right.
I remember when I rolled up to one of the correctional facilities, and I got there pretty early in the morning because I was doing an assessment of the correctional facility. And I remember one of the guards came to me and says, "Hey, I see that you have this little thing on your vehicle, and it's on the underside of the vehicle."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Very good observation. Your observational skills are impeccable." I was proud of that
Yeah.
guy because he saw and was paying attention in the parking lot before anyone ever entered that lobby.
Right.
He had
Right.
already, you can say what you want about profiling, but he already profiled me. He knew what was coming. He didn't know I was coming,
Mhm.
but he knew what was coming once I arrived, and was able to do that. And that's the kind of skills, the situational awareness that has to be built around here. You have someone
Right.
pulling up in your parking lot at 11:30 at night. No one's watching cameras. No one's doing nothing. And we say this all the time, like, you we've had in California where certain MCs have tried to bomb police departments. Our people are trying to break out of prison. We just had the Great Escape that that guy was on the run for so long, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
so you have to start to look at this stuff and say, there's 1,000 examples in reality that you can see on any given day. But when you get to the office and you're in charge of emergency preparedness, you go, that'll never happen.
Yeah.
That'll never. Why would I want to prepare for that? Well, here's an example. Here's an example. So we keep bringing you these examples to hopefully let you know emergency preparedness is very important. Workplace violence
Right.
prevention is going to be very important. And these
Yes.
types of incidents do occur. And like I said, how do you communicate that to folks like ourselves who are there on site to do training, and we're not necessarily going to be carrying firearms, and we're not necessarily in a role that we know the facility very well. You don't want to find yourself in situations like that. So you have
Yeah.
to make sure things are safe. We can't keep doing more with less. Matt, I don't know what other thoughts you have on this, but this is just a great one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, what you said is on point. We're talking about. I'll go back to what I said when we were talking about the emergency plans. You can do a plan and put it in place, but if you don't ensure that your people are taking it seriously and are taking it in, and you do that training consistently enough to ensure that they are never so far from the training that they don't know what to do, then an emergency plan is worthless. You can have the best emergency plan in the world. If you don't apply it properly, you don't train for it, and it doesn't matter. You know? So, I mean, so when you have someone coming in, I mean, this police department, this is in Bristol, Connecticut, which I believe, I forget it, one of the two, Bristol or Hartford is has a higher crime rate, I believe. So Bristol might actually have a, maybe that's why we have so many officers there. Might be a larger department than you might think. But this brings me back to the other point about the staffing at the front. If you have if you're in a high crime area and you have so many officers at night who are present in it, this isn't even the officers that are out on patrol. These are officers that are actually in the building. And no doubt we didn't even see everybody that was in there.
It looked like some of them
Yeah.
were patrol. Could have been at shift change.
Yeah. That's true, and and also they might have radioed out, and any patrol cars that were close by might have come in. Although from that perspective, you would think that they would have come in through the front door, but
Right.
still, it's we don't know all the details. But the point is that it appeared to be a well-staffed department, even at 11:30 at night. There's no reason you shouldn't have someone at the door. You should have a buzzer system set up outside so that nobody can just walk in. And remember, yes, this particular event is centered around a woman who had a nefarious act in mind. But most of the time, who's coming in that door, Steve? It's someone who needs
Assistance.
police assistance. What if you are a young woman going to a college nearby and you realize that someone is following you?
Right.
What do we always tell them?
Go to the
Go
police
to the
department.
police station. Yeah, go to the police department. They drive to that department, then nobody's at the front door. The guy comes in and he drags her out before anybody sees her.
Yep.
See, I mean,
Now you got a
what?
pursuit on your hands.
Yes.
I would love if there's any officers from this department watching, and you can, be careful what you comment, but if you can provide a little more information about some of the things that we talked about, like is it staff change time, where you folks in training at the moment, sometimes they'll
Mhm.
do that, um, reading your daily bulletins, things like this. So, there may be reasons, but I'd love to have the story filled in a little bit more. And
Yeah.
if this person was even on the radar, and I know it's active investigation and things, so we appreciate that not much can be stated at the moment. But I would really like to know more. So we
Yeah.
kind of have a fuller description of what was transpiring that particular evening. And it's a shame. It's a shame that someone doesn't have services. So I think as part of that workplace violence prevention program, even when we talk about EAP or other psychological services, it's important. It's important to be taking the temperature of your employees and understanding how that impacts. It was so funny. We were just out at one client, and we were looking at some of their new facility designs, and they had shifted some offices around and things like this. And they said, "Hey, did you know one of the reasons we moved these folks back here is the husband of the lady that worked in the department came in and threatened to kill her right there on the campus, and walked right into her
Wow.
office because everything's open." And we're like,
Right.
well, we're going to be doing training with you guys again to remind you, but yeah, these things happen, and they happen quick, and your ability to respond is only as good as your level of training and how frequently you train and how seriously you take it. And so
Right.
you can watch. We got a lot of negative comments on your lack of participation kills you and your coworkers. And
Right.
I always laugh because I know who those folks are that are giving us the negative. Yeah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, there it is, right? Your lack of participation.
Yep.
So situational awareness, very, very important. Your emergency plan, very important. Got to be paying attention to this stuff. I don't really have much more to say than that, Matt, except get our combo. Check us out on, please subscribe to our channel. We'll be bringing you more of this content. You can find us on Udemy and Dollar Training Club. We're running a killer Black Friday special. We're going to extend it since, Friday's here, but we're going to extend it a little bit longer in case you need to get some of the other decision makers back. But great price, unlimited users, unlimited learning, unlimited administrators for a flat annual fee of $500. And that will help Matt and I create a lot more great content there. We got forklift certification, aerial lift certification, lead cleanup for range officers, all kinds of great stuff. And we try to delve into the things that don't always make the big time, so that you can get a great understanding. So that's that. That's it. As Arnold Schwarzenegger said in FUBAR, that's it and that's all. And he did steal it from Mama Was on the Trainer. Mama, what was that? Danny DeVito.
Yeah, throw Mama
from the train.
But don't throw Mama from I forget if it's don't throw Mama from the train. Yeah. Or wait, or was it Stop or My Mom Will Shoot? I'm not sure. I think I'm getting two movies.
Well, that's it.
Together.
I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Risk Control Show.
See you.